Thanks, Sue. And a very intimidating room to be talking in. It's probably one of the most intimidating ones I've done in quite a long time. So thank you for having me, and bear with me. I'm a little bit nervous. So I'm very pleased to be here this morning, obviously. And I wanted to share some ideas with you around stereotyping, specifically kind of talking about gender, but also touching a little bit on ethnicity, stereotyping as well. The video I'm about to show you to start off with is something that I compiled together over the last week of ads that I saw. And what I will say to start with, I began with looking down the decades and moving forward into current times. And as I started pulling all the research together, I realised that actually the more recent stuff is actually more shocking than what we used to see. So everything that you see on this particular reel is actually quite recent, and a lot of it's from the Super Bowl, which was particularly interesting to me.
Walking down the street, it feels so nice, ooh la la la. Self-understand.
Siéntete bien. Canada Dry Ginger Ale Light. Sensación única.
A very close call. Could have gone either way. It was right on the line.
Well, Ferguson's not too happy with it, I can tell you that much.
He's beating him like a rented mule.
And the ref's just tuning him out.
Boy, where do you train to take a beating like that?
He said, when's that porch gonna get painted? And that litter box! It's been 3 weeks! 3 weeks! And to think I could have married Don Hoffman. And would it hurt for you to say that you love me once in a while?
Teach me, tiger, how to kiss you. Wah, 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 wah. Show me, tiger, how to kiss you. Wah, 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 wah. Take
Guys, Valentine's Day is not that complicated. Give, and you shall receive.
Teach me, girl, teach me what to do.
I'm in the mood for love, simply because you're near me. Funny, but when you're near me, I'm in the mood for love.
我愿意。
等一下，等一下，你干一下。
妈妈，你这是干嘛？
重要决定必须谨慎，奥迪二手车在线 4S 店官方认证才放心。
Avoid unexpected situations.
Car trouble?
Get your car serviced at UltraTune.
Eggs and donuts and milk. Oh my God! Really?
So gross.
Got what you want, got what you need. Live your dream of me, your fantasy.
Sarah? Sarah? Clean enough?
And let's breathe and release right into cobra position. Continue to relax and release that negative energy. Inhale, arch. Thrust your pelvis to the sky. And exhale, release into the stretch. Good. Focus, focus, focus.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down.
We do the hips to the sky thing again?
Yeah, that was great.
Make it a Bud Light.
She's not very relaxed.
I love going all natural. It just makes me feel better. Nothing between me and my 100% all natural, juicy, grass-fed beef.
Introducing the all-natural burger, the first ever in fast food, with no antibiotics, no added hormones, and no steroids. Only at Carl's Jr.
Now, I get why you have to have women in underwear for Victoria's Secret. They don't get why it has to say, let the games begin with it. So a lot of those were from the Super Bowl, Victoria's Secret, the teleflorist one, and also the Carl's Jr., which I still haven't quite got my head around why we need a woman in a bikini to look like she's naked to advertise a burger. But you know, that's the way it goes. But another kind of stereotyping is equally, and if not more prevalent today, and that's men being objectified or often being stupefied, if you will. So here is a couple of videos that show men being objectified.
Oh, hey, ladies. In the mood to make something special? I sure am. You know, once you go Italian, you'll never go back. Steamy. Let's get zesty.
New Muller Light Greek-style cremas. Whipped. Creamy tasting. And fat-free. Fat-free? New Muller Light cremas. Whipped, creamy tasting, and fat-free.
So traditionally we've assigned gender in life as well as in advertising and as binary. So there are only two genders, male and female, and they're often portrayed as locked in battle. Equally, we have traditionally defined sexuality as being either straight or gay or maybe bi. But the truth is that there are more than two genders, just as there are more than two or three types of sexuality. Many of these variances are broadly accepted scientifically and medically. However, politically and societally, we still have a way to go on that. Many of these identifications may be less familiar to us, and I readily admit that I'm not understanding all of them. For example, there is trigender and bigender, both of which can come under the umbrella of pangender. What started out as LBGT has now evolved into LGBTQIAPK, which is, in case you didn't know, stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersexual, asexual, pansexual, polygamous, and kinkiness. That's a list that no doubt will continue to grow over the next few years. So what does it all mean when it comes to representing people or defining target audiences, as we like to call them in our industry? The feminist movement has certainly achieved a lot in terms of changing the way women are depicted in advertising. But before we mark that down as a complete success, let's consider what feminism really is. Feminism has been defined as a range of political movements, ideologies and social movements that share a common goal to define, establish and achieve political, economic, personal and social equality of sexes. This includes seeking to establish the educational and professional opportunities for women that are equal to those of men. The key word here is equal. Interestingly, what we often tend to see over the past number of years is not an equaling of the sexes, but rather a tipping of the balance into a new era of inequality, at least at a representative level in advertising. What I'm referring to here is a steady societal change that ironically has left many young men feeling worthless or at least worth less than women. Men's sense of place in society is slowly being eroded through the rise of incels, involuntary celibates, highlighted in advertising by images of young men as dopey, moronic, or as Instagram-ready beefcakes who are uber-sensitive to the needs of their equally Insta-ready girlfriends. Meanwhile, the men who still who hold the decisions, hold the power in our societies and often take one of two extreme positions. A, they cling to notions of femininity needing to imply chasteness. This manifests in our courts, where women are castigated for choice of underwear, for using makeup, for wearing fake tan, and for other fashion decisions. Or B, the idea that women's sexuality is something that can be traded or demanded as a kind of quid pro quo, payment for connections or for other favours. The famous and infamous Harvey Weinstein. Of course, many of us still use sex to sell our products, but usually through traditional men and women roles. Here, for example, we have a video that I think is really rather outrageous and I still haven't figured out who that's actually targeting. Is it targeting men? Is it targeting women? Of course, in today's environment of Me Too, Time's Up, etc., it's a tricky landscape to negotiate. How do you make advertising engaging and entertaining, and yes, also sexy, without at the same time alienating someone or initiating difficult accusations and complaints? Scary. Which brings me to the F word, fear. A lot of our advertising messages are driven by fear and always have been. But I'm not talking about good old-fashioned consumer-centric fears such as not being pretty enough, not being thin enough, not tall enough, not rich enough. This is a different kind of fear, and it comes from the brand side, not from the consumer side. Not a fear of losing sales, but a fear of losing face, usually with our peers. Not a fear of pissing off customers, but a fear of pissing off the boss. Not a fear that we might cause envy amongst our competitors, but a fear that we might cause controversy among our shareholders. In our attempt to alienate or ameliorate these fears, we often dilute the power of what we as brands have to say. And because we are afraid to be seen to be really connect, we often end up not connecting at all. So who is going to represent audiences if we don't?
You can't handle the truth! Son, we live in a world that has walls, and those walls have to be guarded by men with guns. Who's gonna do it? You? You, Lieutenant Weinberg? I have a greater responsibility than you can possibly fathom. You weep for Santiago and you curse the Marines.
So the reason I put that in is because of the whole you can't do it, he can't do it. Drama could do, in terms of what I'm talking about, in terms of changing things and representing people, but usually drama relies on escapism, where minorities are represented in an exaggerated way, which means viewers tend to see the representation as not really true. The media could do it, but they tend to address big issues. And the problem with issues is that while people talk about and think about making changes, they promptly forget to act as the next big issue lands in their Facebook stream. Which brings us back to advertising. We already know that advertising exerts a huge influence on purchasing decisions, otherwise why would we spend so much on it? At the Cannes Lions Festival a couple of years ago, it might even have been last year, the following statistic was presented by Adam and Eve. Globally, 18.3 billion is spent on advertising and marketing every year. 4% is remembered positively, 7% is remembered negatively, and 89% isn't remembered at all. So why does so much go unnoticed? It's easy to blame the creative here, but isn't it also true to say that we notice what connects with us? Making connections with people is memorable. So if our challenge is to be remembered rather than to go unnoticed, then our strategy should be to connect rather than to be afraid. So let's look at some ways that some brands have been brave enough to really connect. Wide eyes, big heart, no fear, easy to say, but not so easy to do. Easy also to jump on the Yo propaganda bandwagon that I know you had a recent talk on, and I can see Podge is in the audience today. So here are some examples of brands that were very brave.
me now? Is you with me now? Then biggie, biggie bounce. I know you dig the way I switch my style. Get your freak on, 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 get your freak on. People, here I come. Now sweat me when I'm done. Now people gather round. Now people jump around. Get your freak on, get your freak on, get your freak on. Quiet.
I'm knackered.
Many people wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. When I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. But I say, I'm a woman. Phenomenally. It's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my step, the curl of my lips. It's the fire in my eyes, the flash of my teeth, the swing in my waist, the joy in my feet. Because I'm a woman. Phenomenally. Phenomenal woman. It ought to make you proud. That's my mother and my grandmothers and my great-grandmothers and your greats and my great-greats and your and all you women and me.
Amazing.
So, in our rush to be seen to be politically correct, and on message for the current hashtag movement that might be trending, we can sometimes deviate from our own brand authenticity and push out a message that may be well-meaning, but ultimately it loses our audience. Activism for the sake of activism, to try to reach the activist community, is seen for what it is: cynicism, or at the very least an attempt to detach from those of us who are feeling woke from the money in our wallets. This next video shows about gender diversity.
너랑 네 친구들의 꿈을 나는 다 알아. 여자 가슴 한번 만져보게. 아무것도 안 하면서 부럽다고 싫어하는 boy들이랑은 아웃게. Man 아웃게. 너가 원한다면 그냥 바라봐줄 수는 있지만 나고 빛나를 왜 눈물만 더 완벽할까봐 스티비 같이. 여길 다 나홀로 집에 난 마치 케빈 같아. 다 뺏어 다 가챙길 거야 나 양아치 다. 혼자 다 해먹은 마치 난 북한 대통령 같아.
Hey, yo, hold up. Bring that beat back real quick, man. Yeah. 아름다운 신부의 찌르기 약간 thrown out with the bouquet. Coex 버너버너 내 빠심한 먹는 모습 like I'm fishing in the buffet. You can have what you see through nothing but can you dip it down the Phuket?
So, in terms of equal opportunity, it's no good to just slap an equal opportunity message on your packaging on your end frame as though if you're paying female staff less. You can't just throw the odd black person into your background extras and call yourself diverse. You need to put people front and forward. Nor can you get on the gender neutral bandwagon if you don't really mean it. In today's social media driven world, it's far too easy for a consumer to find out if you're putting your money where your mouth is. You also can't espouse equal rights in your TV commercial for those of us who are still questioning or moving along on the sexuality continuum if gay men, lesbians or those transitioning can't be open in your offices. We live in a faux power movement. I wish I'd made up that word. Somebody else did. We empower women to live their best lives. We talk to women and to men about limp, greasy, greying hair. Try this shampoo. Busy working mum with messy kids. Look how this floor cleaner will spruce up your life. Looking more than your age due to lack of sleep and hours in front of a computer screen. Here's a cream that will help with that. Messy, painful, torturous periods, we can fix it with a sanitary product that will not leak and will allow you to wear tennis rights even on your heaviest day. In our faux empowerment, even madness, are we actually falsifying and diluting our messages so much that we risk undermining what real empowerment is about? And do we fail to recognise that genuine power is very far from the grasp of most ordinary Irish women, just as it is from the grasp of the black guy, the brown woman, the kid who hasn't quite figured out if he's gay, bi, asexual, or indeed what gender he or she might identify with? But imagine if we never lost sight of the fact that the fight for equal rights for women is really a fight for equality, recognition and true empowerment for all of us. We must also consider that if we continue to stereotype gender in our advertising, make half-hearted attempts to address the imbalances, then heap praise on campaigns from someone like Sport England and wish we'd come up with it, then we lose our place in the world as the little island that voted for marriage equality by public referendum, that threw off the shackles of a misogynist anti-woman regime by repealing the 8th Amendment. We are world leaders in this country. We have creativity and talent on our shores that is above reproach. We can beat the rest of the world at their own game with authenticity and genuine messages. The days of stereotypes based on poorly conceived bullseye target audiences are over. The consumer of tomorrow will respond to stories and ideas that really resonate. Stories based not on thinly veiled stereotypes but on powerful archetypes, which sounds like my cue to hand over to Sandy for part 2 of today's presentation. Thank you very much.